what is a working website?
Because there's cost to having a website, right? You have to have web hosting, domain hosting. If you're paying for something, don't you want somebody to come to it? The easier you make it for them to buy, the conversion usually happens better.
But what sort of information would like an online course creator absolutely want to know about their website?
Your website is your primary headquarters for your business, right? It's where they get to know about you.
For most of my ads clients, the majority of their traffic is going to them. I am back with Selena, and if you're only hearing me and you're looking at her for the first time, you're like, how are you back? Who is Selena? Well, we just finished recording an episode called Before We Hit Record, where you get to learn about behind the scenes of who she is as a website developer and who I am. And it's beautiful. And not many podcasts are doing this, where you hear a guest expert on the podcast and you really don't know who they are. She was just sharing with me how it's almost taboo sometimes to talk about kids and family as if we as online business owners exist in this silo where we have our one or two monitors. I have three, and we do our business thing, and we're not like these humans, like with these other aspects to our life. And so if that kind of thing and those kind of conversations that happen from like real humans who also are online entrepreneurs interest you, head down below and click to the link to that episode. I'm biased, but I think it was a pretty good conversation. And Selena, so if you haven't heard who she is from the previous episode, she is a WordPress and website designer, and she's dedicated to helping small and medium-sized businesses thrive in the digital landscape. And her expertise, like, it spans like many things, but from facets of digital strategy to encompassing social media management to email marketing to crafting effective advertising campaigns. And she's also your tech bestie. If you head to her website, which is in the descriptions below, you will see that she can and her team can help you out with all the tech things. And if my voice is new to you, hi, I'm the new host of the Art of Online Business podcast, still bringing to you tips and tricks and strategies to help scale up your online business and your online membership if you have one, from low six figures to high six figures. And you can find out where Rick, the former host, went, where he is at in life and what he's doing. It's a pretty cool project. That link is in the descriptions below. And you can also learn more about me when Rick interviewed me and shared why he wanted me to be the new host. So, Selena, welcome back.
Hey, what a great conversation we had.
I feel like we hit record for the Before We Hit Record segment. We teased that you are going to talk in this episode about website analytics and how they can help someone, an online business owner, in their marketing efforts. Because you had told me that you, on your intake form, you get questions surrounding website analytics and how to like interpret them and how to make the best use of them. So we teased that for this episode. And then as we were switching studios, we just had the most beautiful of conversations for like another, well, like 15 minutes. And now here we are back in
We forgot we were supposed to have an episode. We really had our own moment.
we did, and it was cool. And I'm just trying to figure out how to capture more of like the authenticity of two people in every episode. So before you share about website analytics, I will share what I was telling you about. Well, I guess you had asked me about being in other cultures and speaking Chinese.
Oh, I just real fast, I just thought it was so fascinating that you do what a lot of people wish they could do. You travel and you immerse yourself. And like you can go and visit, but you also learn the language. And that's so huge. So anyway,
It's just me. Like, it's just some people have other hobbies and like I or other things that are inside of them, so to speak, that they just love. And for me, I just love being in a foreign country and that challenge, that struggle, that transformation that happens when I am learning how to communicate in a language, and then past that, learning how to communicate with like the cultural language, because you could know the words just fine and not even have an accent, but you can still like clash because you don't know the culture. And so they're both things I just like. learning.
No, I think, as I mentioned, I'm from Hawaii. I'm part Hawaiian, and when you learn another language, it really helps keep it alive, right? And you see a lot of things in the news on there are certain Native American languages that are dying just because some of the newer generation doesn't speak it, right? So I just think it's so important that we, even if you're not part of that, but you help keep it alive so it's still around and it's part of our history. So that's why I think I don't know. I love that you embrace other languages because it just shows you want them to stay around, you know? So
It's pretty cool.
we're gonna put Hawaiian on QUÄY.jo's next list of languages to learn.
Is that easy or hard? Do you feel like?
So, you know what? I think I grew up. I don't speak it fluently at all. In fact, I'm learning. But I have a couple of cousins that are professors in the universities back home in Hawaii that teach the language. And one of my cousins is a school teacher. So there's an immersion program in the state of Hawaii that has a Hawaiian curriculum from kindergarten to sixth. They teach everything in Hawaiian, and you don't speak, yeah, everything. Every course you don't speak English. English is not integrated. I think it's 4th grade, so that they'll bring it back. So when they're there, the kids only speak Hawaiian. And so it's fantastic. I wish that was something that was around when I was younger, but that wasn't. And so so my cousin does a lot of work for the state of Hawaii. A lot of them that kind of keep our language alive because we were, it was actually banned a long, long ago, when when the state was overthrown. The language was not allowed to be spoken by the government, military government, because that's just a way to oppress people, right? Like take away their language. So my grandparents actually did not grow up speaking it out loud because they weren't allowed to out in public because they could go to jail or whatever. So what I love is just growing up in the 70s and 80s, we didn't embrace our culture as much. And I love that there was just like this kind of like campaign to like bring our culture back. And what I loved going back to the airport, especially when I went back home just 2 weeks ago, is now things are actually not just in English, but in Hawaiian too, like on signs, just to kind of reiterate, right? And I'm so proud that our language is making a comeback. So um, it can be hard, but I think you could totally do it. You speak Spanish and Chinese, like, and English? No?
Okay.
I
Yeah.
think you could. I think you could. I feel like I'm gonna send you something and see what you think.
Alright. Why not? I mean, I just as you were saying that, I just Googled it. I just learned that, like, Hawaiian was banned. It says 1896, and then it was banned all the way up until, it wasn't used as a medium of instruction until 1987. I'm like, "Wow." That is one way to just eradicate a culture, is getting rid of a language. Like, they're intertwined, you can't separate them. So, the fact that it's making a comeback is nothing short of miraculous.
I just thought it was common knowledge, but no. So this is good. This is good. So maybe yeah, we're gonna get you on a wait here. Wait, this one is here. I'm gonna show you. So this is one of my cards that I get. It's called From Actions of Aloha. But I'm gonna just show you this.
Oh,
E
okay. So what
Kolomua,
is
and yeah, okay. And then what it means is
keep moving forward? Oh, so these are like are these just vocabulary cards, or are they more like phrases and affirmations, but in Hawaiian?
yeah, to help you kind of learn your language, learn words that and so I have like a deck sitting in my desk, and I just pull them out and I rotate them and I kind of hold it up to I stick it on my computer and I just kind of look at it. So when I look at it, it just kind of reminds me like what that word means. I want it to feel more natural to say than me like I gotta look up my own language. I gotta look at my own language because I want to say it in Hawaiian and not just in English.
Yeah. I tell people all the time. I used to teach my previous online business was teaching Chinese, right?
Stop.
Yeah, that's what I was doing before this.
So I bet you'd be curious.
Well, I was just going to say I have seen quite a few language learning materials and have never seen what you just showed me, and am secretly not secretly, publicly hoping that they have that, like, in Spanish.
Oh, see? And if not, you know who needs to make something like
Right. One more idea that I could pursue. Thankfully, I have my wife to keep me on track because I have all these I think are good ideas, and she's like, "You don't have the time. You don't have the time. Wait." So, please, after this, like, tell me the brand of those cards because they look cool.
Yeah, no, they are. And I bring that up because, like, in my own business, I really try to infuse my Hawaiian culture into the way that I work with clients, and I just kind of bring it up when I can or talk about it or
Tell me how you do that. You try to infuse your culture into the way you work with your clients as a web designer.
I think a lot of it is like, when I do regular greetings, I do say aloha. I don't say hi, such and such, or sincerely, Selena, right? I use aloha. I say mahalo nui no. Like I get them used to seeing Hawaiian words in there. And then it's just my personality of, you hear like the word aloha. It's not like just a word that says hello or goodbye or I love you. It's a way of like being and like yeah, it's a way of being as a Hawaiian. You wanna live aloha and you want to make sure and so that's what I do with my clients is and maybe this is why I invite them into having my daughter come say hello to them and greeting them properly and saying, "Hey, this is Uncle Tom," or "This is, Auntie Shanda," or whatever, right? Just because it's just a respectful thing, and it's also a learning thing for her. Um, and I don't know, just this feeling of just full transparency, knowing that what they've built, I will take care of and love on it, as I am. And I think that's how I infuse it. I do let them know too, right? Like, hey, thank you for employing a Native Hawaiian, a woman-owned business, all these things too, so that they're just kind of aware of their purchases too, right? When they make these purchases, that they know that they're what they're supporting and what that means.
I like that. I like that. It's you really do have to be purposeful about these things, otherwise, people just don't know, it's not related to anything as noble as sharing, like, my culture with my clients, but I just I get applications, for people to be on the podcast or even clients are talking to me, and it comes up that they had no idea that I even live in Mexico, which is just to say that the things that matter to you, like your culture, for example, you really have to be purposeful about, like, spreading that knowledge or as you said, bringing it into how you do business because it makes it that I think it makes you, you, but it does make also the experience a lot more memorable for your clients too, you know?
I hope so, I hope so. I will share this, like, funny story, but my grandmother, she was a, Hawaiian airline flight attendant in the '40s. So she was part of that era where you did not leave the house, the face was made up and the lipsticks were put on, and so she's always told her kids and then her grandkids and then her great-grandkids, "Put your best face forward," and so I laugh. I think about that all the time. Like, okay, always put your best face forward. And I feel like that, like just being me and making sure I kind of like, like this sign back here, spread the aloha is kind of like part of what I do. Right. So I'm always like, okay, do what grandma says, put best face forward.
Wow. And I'm just thinking, we'll get back to the episode in a moment. Do you need Facebook ads help? But maybe Facebook ad management is not right for your business at the moment, which is fine, but you would like my eyeballs on your ad campaign. I have a new offer. The people who've signed up for it so far are loving it. It's called Facebook Ad Setup to Success. In the next 30 days, you can work with me over 30 days. We will together set up your ad campaigns and get them running successfully the right way, the exact way that I do for my clients. That means you get 3 calls with me over the period of 30 days. And in between each of those calls, you get unlimited access to me, like Voxer, Slack. That means I'll show you how to set up the ad campaign, all the things you should consider. We'll also go in and look at your funnel, and I'll make recommendations to improve your funnel. And then in between each call, you get coaching from me still because you can record your screen, send me a message, say, "Hey, QUAY.jo, what about this? Like, what would you do here in this ad, you know?" And I'll respond to you that very same day. It's unlimited support from me and 3 calls from me. It's called Facebook Ad Setup to Success. And if you want my help, one-on-one coaching to run your ads, then click on the link in the description below or go to, you can see it on the bottom of the screen, theartofonlinebusiness.com/call. Theartofonlinebusiness.com/call, and I'm happy to help you successfully learn to run your own Facebook ads. That took a whole different level of bravery to be a flight attendant or a pilot or anything to do with planes in the 40s, because I think, like, what was it, like 30 planes were like 20-ish years old at that point, you know?
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it would be that. Yeah, to fly on a plane was like just, I bet, mind-boggling. And what's funny is when you talk about getting a job, my grandma, I had a CNN travel writer reach out to me because of a LinkedIn article, and they interviewed my grandma, made an article out of her on CNN, and she shared with them during the interview. My grandmother said, she went to the job. She was 19 years old because they were looking, and they said, "Have you flown before?" And my grandmother, 19 in the 40s, said, "Absolutely." She had never flown before in her life. And she said the first day she's wearing heels on a plane, and she had never been on a plane. And she did not account that she would get sick. So she was like air sick, and she had to serve, the things. And it was just funny hearing her share that with the writer. But she says, but I made it. I did it. I pulled through and worked with them for several years until she got pregnant with my mom. And you know how it was in the 50s, right? Women, they get pregnant and then they quit the job and they
And
go
they
home.
have babies?
They have babies.
But yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, just we all gotta like fake it till you make it sometimes, right? Just to kind of get that job, I guess. And that's what my grandma did. So
It's, I understand. You and I have had job interviews. I'm sure you have back in the day too. Well, actually, I shouldn't say I'm sure, because one of my clients I work with, he never had a regular job. Have you had other jobs before being a web designer?
yes. So actually, before I became a military spouse, I actually was 20 years in the restaurant industry, and I was assistant general manager of a big chain restaurant, and then eventually sales and marketing before I officially left at the last year of the 20 years. So I worked a lot with clients, big clients, a big team, um, and corporate, doing travel, but it was just so yeah, I had the real job, people say sometimes, because I'm clocking into a brick and mortar, before I started my own business that I started in 2017. So, there's a nice foundation though that was created from that 20 years in the restaurant business, in a very bustling Waikiki, city. So lots of learning, lots of interesting things.
The last question that's not website marketing analytics related is, which island is Waikiki on? Because my parents, my dad and, my stepmom love to go to Hawaii, and they'd go there, like, 3 times a year, and I know, unfortunately, so little about Hawaii.
That's okay. Oahu is actually where Waikiki is.
Okay, that's the big island, right?
No, the big island is actually called Hawaii Island.
Oh, okay.
What's funny is, so Hawaii Island, and usually that's how we'll reference it, or we say the Big Island. And then you have Maui, Kauai, Molokai, and Lanai. And Oahu, though, is the main island where you go for Pearl Harbor, for Diamond Head, for Waikiki. It's way smaller than the Big Island, but it's the most busy, or the most population. So yeah, and there's actually a really cool island if you all want to look it up. It's called Niihau, and it's actually a privately owned island. And
Sounds like it sounds like saying hi in Chinese.
right, I know Niihau. It's Niihau. How we spell it, but it's privately owned. I think it's the Robinson family, but it was uh, set so that the native Hawaiians could live there, and cultivate the culture. And it's private, so you cannot just go to the island. You have to actually be invited by a resident of the island.
Oh, like a visa thing, if you will.
Yeah, right. I mean, you don't need paper, but you have to have special permission and to go. And so it's and that island has probably the most like full-blooded Hawaiians, because you that's not very common nowadays to see. So it's just, yeah, that's a little island that you'll see kind of on the map, but it's not one that somebody can plan a tour and you can go to. But your parents are on Oahu. Oahu.
I think now you're going to have some people DMing you to see if you know any residents so that they can get to this, like, exclusive real Hawaii.
I do actually. My cousin is married to one of the residents. She lives in Oahu. Obviously, they married and they raise their family here. So um, yeah, it was fascinating. It's like the whole island closed down because it's very small. And when they came to the wedding, I was like, wow, even I haven't seen so many full-blooded Hawaiians in one space together. And it was just the coolest thing, I think. So yeah, I mean, I can't get you any tickets. Sorry, guys. I don't know if I can. Like, even we haven't all been on the island. Okay, so
So you can't get us on the list, is what you're saying. So, like, somebody listening, don't go and DM Selena. She can't get you on the list for the most exclusive Hawaiian island, but, we gotta talk about website marketing. Specifically, I found it intriguing when I asked you of the topics that you can talk about, because you can talk about quite a bit more since you help people with email marketing and digital strategy too, and launches. You said website analytics and how it can help your marketing efforts, and then you told me that on your intake form, most people ask about. Can you wanna share that with the listener?
most people when they come to me, and something's been built, is I'll ask them, "Hey, do you know what your current traffic is? Do you know what the busiest page is on your website?" All the things, and they're like, "I don't know. My friend said they've gone to the website and they loved it." And I'm like, "Oh, you don't have any numbers or," and they're like, "You can have things like that? Like, how do you know?" Right? And I have to remember for myself, like, oh gosh, like people just know what they know, right? They built a website. That's a lot for a business owner, right? To have a website built, you're like, okay, it's done. I'm done. Now people can come and do the things. But I always encourage people to tag on some analytical tool, right? Google Analytics is the most popular one. So I love it and I use it for my clients. And the reason why I encourage it is numbers don't lie. We talked about this earlier, right? Numbers don't lie. And you should know how your website is working for you. You paid money to get it built. You paid somebody to either tell you how it should be built, and let's see if that's working for you and your business. And so when you get numbers like this is where you can take these numbers and go to the developer or to whoever was helping. Hey, you said this would drive this traffic here, and I don't see that. Like, what can I be doing? Do we need to change up our SEO words? Do we need to be changing up our is the site loading slow? I mean, this is where answers come in, and not like a year later, but you could do that within a week, within a month. So, and it's important just to look at it. And my clients love it. I generate a weekly report that comes from analytics and it gets sent to them, and it just tells them the traffic that is coming, what source that's coming from. So is it direct? Does it come from Instagram? Does it come from YouTube because you have this podcast? You know what I mean? So then where people are coming from and part of that funnel that we all create as a business.
So break it down. Break it down. Is a website working for someone? What does it mean to you when you can answer yes to that question after having done, like, a website audit? And let's put this in the context of, like, most of the listeners either have an online course or, like, an online membership. So what is a working website?
Right. So for me, like the work, maybe I'll use this analogy a little bit, right? And I get it, and this is where I understand. It's like I buy a car. For me, technically, sometimes I only because I'm like, I just know I turn the key in the ignition and it works, and I'm like, yay. Um, I'm not maintaining it. I don't know all the things, right? And so my husband's very smart. He'll tell me little things that I need to know when I need to know it. So that's how I feel like with a working website. Um, is the gas going? Is the oil changed? You know what I mean? Are you getting the miles on it? And is that miles like worth the miles that, is there? Because there's cost to having a website, right? You have to have web hosting, domain hosting, all these things. So if you're paying for something, don't you want somebody to come to it? It's
So it's working if people it's work a website's working if people come to it.
first, though, but the right people have to come to it, right? There's many components. What I love about Google Analytics, this is where I geek out, is There are some things where for one of my clients, we have it so that it actually lets us know what buttons are getting clicked on throughout the whole website.
Okay. What do you do with that information?
So we'll take that information and say, hey, the reservations page for this particular location is showing this many clicks versus this location. So we know that our efforts into pushing where more of the people are going maybe might go here, or do we have to look at why we're not getting as many people for this location? I mean, when you have that information, because you have the data, a clear data, like, so, it tells you, okay, 1,000 people came to your website. Okay, that's great. Was there any conversions? And that's what you want to look for, right? Because 1,000 people can come to your site, but leave like 1 second or 2 seconds later. And so if all of a sudden you see conversions like, oh, there was a click over, and a conversion is anything over to another page or some kind of action. Did they fill out your contact form? Did they click on the link to listen to your podcast on your show notes?
Did they download your free lead magnet?
Right. So, but if those 1,000, you can see through the funnel how many are converting, and you can make like, okay, I wonder why. Do I need to move this part on my section up just to kind of test A/B it and see, oh wow, people like this, or is the copy need to be changed? You know what I mean? Like, because you see that people are not clicking on it. So I think for me, I love that. Like when I get to share that kind of information, I swear I have clients. My one client, he's 65, been in the business a long time. He's like, I have never had this kind of information about what happens on my website. And
It
he
can be
loves it.
enlightening. Yeah.
Yeah, he says, he goes, man, the decisions I could have made previously, just having this, right? Because he runs 4 concepts and they're great, but there's opportunities that I think that are missed on the table that you don't realize are there. And so that's why I think instituting some kind of analytics to your website. I know there's other tools, but I don't use them, so I can't speak on them. I just know of Google Analytics because everybody knows that one. It's been super helpful. I've never had a client say, "That's hogwash. I don't need it." They really just kind of really loved the information that it gathers.
Alright. So what sort of information that you could gather with a tool like Google Analytics, like, without getting super technical, but what sort of information would, like, an online course creator absolutely want to know about their website?
So here's an example I had with a quilt maker when we talked about Google Analytics. So some of the demographics can be like, if you're global, it can give you what country that is coming to your website being viewed. You can even get it down to kind of the like city and location. And obviously female, male, your gender, and sometimes the age, but just knowing those two things for her, she was looking for sponsors, right? So she could take her Google Analytics data report that said, hey, 10,000 people come to my website. They come from this city, which you are located in. And she was able to get a sponsor, right? Or she can get a sponsor just because she had some real time data to share with a potential investor in her business for a program or whatever. She has those to back up a pitch, right? Because again, whenever you're dealing with people with money, they want numbers and they want statistics. And so Google Analytics gives you that because your website is your primary headquarters for your business, right? It's where they get to know about you, send you a contact message, or buy a service, right? Those are kind of like the three main things. So, I know I'm going off on a tangent because I get so excited about it, but it just
No, I got plenty of questions because I am an online course creator, and so, like, here's something that might be in the listener's mind, it's certainly in my mind. This dreaded bounce rate. Every time I log into WordPress, I see a bounce rate, and I'm like, "Most of the people that come to my website are leaving right away," which means they're not buying my course, or they're not inquiring about my ads management services. So, for me and the listener, like, I'm sure you got some tips and tricks and tactics to reduce that bounce rate and get people to, like, stick around on the website.
yes. Okay. So remember earlier when we said 1,000 people can come to your website, but what if you are marketing and as a Facebook ads genius, if your website gets targeted
Practitioner,
to the wrong
practitioner,
people,
practitioner.
right? Gets targeted to the wrong people, your bounce rate's going to be higher just because the wrong people are coming to your site. It's not that, you know what I mean? Like, oh, maybe there is a word that somehow is being found on your website and that's why they're coming over. So sometimes you just have to look at why they came, because they're on the report. It will say, oh, your site was found for these reasons. And it will actually give you search queries sometimes. Like, so I will tell you actually one of the, I have sometimes a high viewer rate, but I have a also kind of a medium sized bounce rate, but I'm okay with it because I know people say, what does haole mean in Hawaiian? And I don't know how, but my website gets picked up to be a source.
Okay, alright.
But so because I know though why, you know what I mean? And yes, it can penalize you. So it's just like a reframing. So I think we took like what this means. I have to remember, but at least not, again, that's information for you to know why, right? So when you have analytics, sometimes you can understand why maybe they're bouncing. I will tell you another tool, which I love Google Analytics, but Hotjar, if nobody's heard of it, it's a heat map tool.
Say that one again?
It's Hotjar.
Hotjar, okay.
It's a heat map tool. And so it knows how many people, so of the 1,000 people that we talked about earlier, it will actually tell you how many of those 1,000 people made it all the way down to the end of your page. And it shows this map of where they drop off, right? And I love that too. And so together with Google Analytics, sometimes I feel like it's such a power, like, and they also have where they're clicking. So you should see, like, for your site, put on Hotjar because they do have a free option. See where they stop and see what it is. Like, is there a changing of message for your site that you think you need to, you know what I mean? I don't know. Just because I'm not in your analytics, because I'm like, I know if I found you, I was finding you because I wanted to find you because you're
I agree. I should do that for my own website. That is something that I have done or recommended to clients in the past and that they've done to increase, landing page, like opt-in page for lead magnet. Opt-in rates is install Hotjar, and then it does make a recording too, of not everyone, but some people, and so then my clients have been able to look at that and do just what you said, see, "Oh, people are coming down to this point," and then they start clicking around as if they're confused, even though I thought my page was really clear,
yeah,
and so
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
super useful, super useful.
So, and then that's why, and then again, when you have that Hotjar information and then you take your Google Analytics information, it just makes sense and you can make a really like solid change if you need it, So yeah, I could talk about analytics. So I feel like it's important. Again, if you're a business owner and you spent the money, you should have some basic reporting come to you so you know what's really happening on your website. I think somebody that just says, "Oh, my friend said they came to it last week." So I know people are going to it. Um
Here's another thing I see, which is some websites of clients of mine have their paid offer available on their website, like, there'll be a tab, and it's their course that's on sale, and then other clients don't actually have their paid offer they do, but they have, like, a specific maybe it's like a hidden page where it's on their main website, but it's, not you can't navigate to it from the navigation menu, or some have, like, a whole 'nother domain, as in, like, whatever.com dedicated to that paid offer. Have you seen one way or another, like, what works best to get traffic that converts to sales?
you know, I what I've realized with users when they are buying, the simpler you make it, the easier you make it for them to buy, the conversion usually happens better. So when you said you got to click over here or click over there, or if there's any pause or hesitation in the that buying per like journey, it shoots them off. So I love that if that's like a great offer, like on a website, you may have heard this term, it's called above the fold, right? Whatever's the most like the most best thing ever that you want to make sure somebody sees when they land on your site because that's it. You put that up above the fold. So if your paid offer is something you want to make sure that they see because that's the only place they're going to scroll down to, that should be there. And you've made it super easy for them to go to. So some people are like, oh, I want them to learn this, this, and this. And I'm like, sometimes people don't care about that. If they knew, every website business owner sometimes assumes people like look at a whole web page.
Everybody does, right?
No. Yeah, they do. So, prime real estate is more to the top, right? So put the things that really matter in the most desirable place on the website, because if you make them search for it, people will drop, right? And so, yeah, my advice, I think, and what I've seen is when we've changed things around and we've made it easier for somebody to either go to an event, to take a download or whatever, that's why you see those banners sometimes in the top of the nav bar, right? Hey, grab my free this or do my this at the very top, because that's the first thing you'll probably see when you land on their page.
Yeah. Yeah, and I just this morning, like, look, it's on my phone. If somebody's watching, they can see on YouTube, they can see it. Just this morning, I was giving one of my clients oh, you can't really see it. Come on, camera. Anyway, a quick review of their landing page and telling them that, "Hey, great that they have 2 buttons above the fold on a mobile phone to get their free guide." He's an accountant at the
So important. I mean, this is not about analytics, but just not looking at just the desktop version, but also of your mobile version, because I think it's like 60% or 70% of the world uses their mobile for everything.
for most of my ads clients, the majority of their traffic is going to the mobile.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, I think that's why I just always encourage, I always talk about it, and people are like, "Oh, I feel like it's complicated." And it's not as complicated. It's a free tool for Google Analytics. So great for that beginner person that is just starting out, right? Because we always want to keep the costs down. But as you kind of grow your business, you can hire people to really kind of dig into Google Analytics, make sure you can. I mean, there's so many setups and so many things that you can monitor and watch for your website. It's bananas. So I don't know. And, again, you don't have to, there's just basic stuff you should know. You should know how many people are coming to your website. You should know how many people are, um, or where they're coming from, right? Sometimes you want to know the referral source. And you want to know sometimes the most engaged pages. So if you have like a popular like article like website, maybe there's certain articles you want to also say, oh wow, article A got like 7,000 views, where article B, which I thought was going to be amazing, didn't even hit. Like what I don't understand. So and you should just know that stuff. And if you have a product like Shopify, you should know what products are getting looked at the most.
Yeah, right?
Yes.
So, which of these analytics, like, helps marketing efforts the most? Like, if an online course creator comes to you and they say something general, like, "I want more sales," or, "I want more opt-ins to my lead magnet," like, what go-to metric are you looking at first that would have the biggest impact on their marketing?
So I think the metric on a Google Analytics is I would look to see how much traffic is actually coming to the website first. Because if nobody is coming to the site, that answers your question. And now you have to say, why are people not coming to your website? Before you do anything else. Like, why are people not coming? So you can fix that. And that could be on the marketing side. Do I need to push this more? And it could be something as basic, really, as, oh, I don't put my link in my LinkedIn article to come to this website. I say, hey, go to my website, go to my profile 3 links away and go to my website. We don't make it easy for people to visit websites. You know what I mean? It could be as simple as that, but then the Google Analytics tells you, you're like, but I tell people to go to my website on my article or on my this. Put your link every time. Make it easy for them to click and go immediately there. But that's the first thing, because then that way we can then strategize and make a plan, right? Okay, so say they did have views. Okay, where are most of these views coming from? Because why is there not a conversion happening? Oh, for some reason they're coming from this one referral website that you did 10 years ago that kind of doesn't have anything to do with your business. And so you can then maybe even go to them, hey, can you do a no follow or maybe unlink me? Or I don't know, the articles, you know what I mean? Like you can do things where you can say, hey, can we update this? Because this is not the type of business I do. So those are just two things that I would immediately look at, because sometimes it is just sometimes an easy thing, because there's a little bit more we got to put toward it.
It's important. It's very important. It's when it comes to Facebook ads, one, as I'm sure you're aware, one of the audiences that, like, we can retarget would be an audience that visits a website, and we can build a lookalike audience of that and tell Facebook, "Hey, these people visit my website, so give me 1,000,000 or 2,000,000 other people who share, like, the same attributes so I can show my ads to them." And so what you're saying about figuring out where your traffic comes from and if any traffic or how much traffic is getting there and if it's a lot or if it's a little, and doing the basics to send traffic to your website, it is really important because that's one of the main audiences that we can use. Um, and some of my clients get their best results from lookalike audiences of their website visitors. And
Yeah, I love that so much. I just was speaking to somebody a month ago. They were like, "I'm new. I don't have an audience." And I'm like, "If you do paid ads, there is things like there's lookalike audiences where you can." And they're like, "What?" You know what I mean? So, but if you knew Google Analytics, nobody was coming, but you could do that with Facebook ads. Like, and I think that's why there's just so many wonderful, like, again, so that the work you're putting into it doesn't go wasted. You know, and I just I've seen too many people, it's done, it's fine, the whole people will come, I built it. It's not that days anymore. You have to really put a lot of marketing efforts. And um again, we've squashed campaigns because we've had the analytics for some of our clients. They really believed it was going to be a great thing, and it was like I said, there's everything we're doing to drive, there's no interest. And so they had to let it go. And they were like, okay, I have a tangible reason to let it go. This is not the right time. People are not interested. Nobody's baiting, or nobody's taking the bait, or whatever. Not I'm not saying we do clickbait stuff. I'm just saying, like, nobody's biting on that particular content that we're working really hard toward. And we're putting marketing efforts in the wrong space and dollars, which you would know.
right. So for the listener who has a website and it's been on their list to, like, upgrade their website or get into the analytics and do something with their website because they know there's money kinda hidden in their website, like, do this have to unlock its potential to convert lead into sales? Like, what would be a good next step for them to get in touch with you?
Yeah, for some reason, this is where I found you, right? We connected on Instagram.
Yeah,
Um, I love kind of being there. I think because I love the visual right now. But other than that, I love LinkedIn. Connect with me. We can chit chat. Um, and then my website, thehowOP.com. Yeah.
alright. Both of those will be linked in the description below. What was this you had shared this guide, and you titled it, "Don't Forget the Ketchup. Unlock the Secret Sauce of Successful Launches." Tell me about that.
Yeah, we came up with that. I'm using a little bit of my restaurant referencing, but have you ever, like, gone to your best fast food place and you're like, yeah, I'm getting my burger and my fries, and then you head to your next destination. You're probably eating in the car, and you go in and you're looking for the ketchup, and it's not there. It's not why you went, but then all of a sudden the no ketchup in the bag, or like the no napkins in there, really kind of like affects the experience of the burger a little bit. You have a little conniption fit for a moment, and we don't want that, right? And it's just for a little thing. And so I named this little thing that we're talking about, "Don't Forget the Ketchup." And it's just kind of making sure, like, this checklist of things to think about before you close the bag and hand it off to the buyer. And so we cover social media, email marketing, the checkout portion of your website, and my favorite thing, website. And guess what? There's some Google Analytics info in there.
Guess what? Of course. The website developer will put some Google Analytics info in there.
And so it's just a little thing, and hope you like it. And obviously there's more that you can get from it, and just let me know.